These authors nailed one crucial writing must-have for novels. Both main characters were tormented by traumatic events. One was the victim, the other the supposed perpetrator. They both thought they were to blame, felt intense pain and extreme guilt, and they didn't think they could tell anyone. The authors of these 5-star novels, one a coming-of-age story and the other a domestic thriller, nailed one thing that pulls readers in and keeps them reading. I'll tell you what that is and how to do this later in what is number 1 in my new book writing tips series. First up, the review of When the Wildflowers Bloom Again by Donna Jo Stone. Marigold, known as Mary, used to love going into the woods, until that fateful day when everything changed. As a 14-year-old, she'd thought it was exciting to have secrets, but she didn't want one like this. The victim of a sexual assault by her teenage boy cousin, she blamed herself for sneaking off to the woods when she shouldn't have, and not realizing what was about to happen when her cousin enticed her into an old shack. She felt shamed, dirty, and tried to figure out how to tell someone. Would they believe her? What would it do to her family? Would they blame her and say she shouldn't have put herself in that position? To make matters worse, her family is struck by health problems, and she doesn't want to be an extra burden. I was immediately drawn into this first-person story and travelled with Mary on her intense and troubling journey. It made me think of real-life situations I or others I am close to have faced, not necessarily of the same nature. I waited with bated breath for Mary to tell someone before the secret ruined her completely, inside and out. At times I became impatient with her as she refused to let herself tell anyone, even people who could possibly understand. I knew that when she did, everything in her family would crumble. The months roll by and she realizes she is pregnant. That was obviously one reason she kept her secret. I won't tell you how it came out and who it was who found out first. You'll have to read the book for that. Of course, there were tricky issues about the baby. This was a Christian family. Different family members wanted different things. It was really complicated for obvious reasons, being a cousin incest. I'm not going to tell you what happened on that front either. Once again, you'll have to read the book and consider the issues concerned. What would you do in that situation? The story is a good wake-up call regarding victims of sexual assault, the guilt, the denial, and fear that no one will believe them. And was the perpetrator held to account? Once again, I won't give a spoiler on that. My only criticism of this novel was a little too much meaningless dialogue and details of day-to-day activities as Mary carried her secret for months. I guess it had to be there to pace the book and show just how things dragged on for Mary as she languished in torment. I was also curious about the perpetrator and how he got to be how he was, and if, in hindsight, members of Mary's family fitted pieces of the puzzle of her strange behaviour together after all was revealed. However, the book was not about them. It was about Mary and how this affected her. There were some lovely touch points in the story, and the writing and character development was spot on. This was a 5-star captivating read which completely nailed my book writing tip number 1. More on that after the next review. A Quiet Kind of Wrong is the other book which nailed book writing tip number 1. Written by Mary Frances Hill, this novel is an engaging read, delving into a range of emotions and complexities. These range from torment, regret, and guilt to deep concern, care, selflessness, and protectiveness. I was gripped from the opening paragraph of this domestic thriller. How horrible! What would I do? Did she really hit him? The plot is centered around the aftermath of a dark night which saw main character Jane hit her neighbour's teenage son with her son's car, although she only heard a thud and didn't see anyone on the road before the event. She assumes she hit and killed him, but her son Noah, a true crime podcast addict, eventually sets out on a quest to find out exactly what did happen. By halfway through this book, I had to finish the rest in one sitting. It was that good. The story was perfectly paced for the acceleration needed as the book draws to a climax and close. There were touching moments, as well as torturing moments. The description and scene setting were balanced well with action and psychoanalysis. Despite being a thriller, this story had a community feel at times, which added some feel-good vibes in contrast to the serious aspects. Now, Jane had kept the accident to herself for a whole year, living in fear and torment that she would be arrested and jailed any moment. She hardly slept and took to walking around the neighborhood to calm her nerves. What the author did so brilliantly in this book, and yes, I am getting to book writing tip number 1, is this. She got inside Jane's head. Her thoughts, her fears, her torment, her paranoia, her guilt, her regret, her coping mechanisms, her plans to survive, her thoughts and feelings about different options she was weighing up, and her distress about what she had potentially done to 2 families, hers and the victims. This is another first-person book, told only from Jane's perspective, and this is entirely the best viewpoint for this particular story. Readers are clear what is going on for the protagonists and live through it with them when authors get inside characters' heads. It's actually more of an insight into people than you would get from talking with another person, even counselling them. If an author reveals a multitude of thoughts and internal dialogue in a novel, you know that character almost as much as the character themselves. That is what's so riveting and important about that technique. As a reader, you relate to that character, living their situation through them, feeling it. Time to look in more detail at book writing tip number 1, getting inside your main character's head. Number 1, delve into the character's underlying emotions through their thoughts, and sometimes what they say to another person, but more so their thoughts. Avoid thinking your readers will know this from the character's actions alone. Number 2, ask what is the backstory to their emotions, personality, hang-ups, coping mechanisms, fears. A Quiet Kind of Wrong did this well, with Jane having flashbacks to past situations with her mother. Number 3, draw from your own life and inner thoughts. However, be careful to create an individual character, not a carbon copy of you, unless that's what you're aiming for, or a generic person who could be anyone. Number 4, ask yourself the following question. What is going on for your character? What are they thinking? Why are they thinking it? How are they feeling? Sad, happy, confused? And why is that? How can you show that? Through what their internal dialogue. What are their deepest fears? What are their regrets, their worries? What makes them happy? What little things in life help make the things that they are worrying about seem distant? What grounds them? Who is really special to them? Who do they distrust? Who do they suspect? Who do they not want to let down? What is it that drives them? Guilt? Fear of failing? Is it perfectionism? Is it a desire for success or to be in control at all times? What are their insecurities? What are their failings? And do they realize what they are? What are their strengths? Do they know about these? Do they doubt their own abilities? What keeps them going? How do they rationalize things in their life? Where do they get their strength from? What are their weak points? And what memories do they have of their worst times, and do those haunt them? What are their great memories? What are their special things? Let your readers know these things and your story will have so much more depth. You'll know more about this person than you know about your best friend or your mother or your husband or your wife or your partner. That's the beauty of the stories that let readers get into their characters' heads. It's almost like knowing yourself. Sometimes you can see the same things in yourself in these characters and identify with their struggles, which is another appeal of good character writing. If an author does this well, the reader will miss the character when the book is finished. Hey, they might even buy the next one on the series. We all want to be known and to know. It's an innate desire in all of us. So if you do your character well, readers will feel a sense of knowing someone else deeply. Your character will be real to them, and then so will the story. Number 5, to get inside your character's head as an author or writer, try these things. Write a diary for the character. Interview your character on paper or the keyboard. Don't use AI for this. Use your brain, as it is you, the author, who is creating this character. Act out your character in safe settings with family or friends. So now you have 2 great books to read if you're looking for some good reads. If you're wanting to try your hand at writing or already write books, some tips on how to do one of the most important things in novel writing. That is book writing tip number 1. Get inside your main character's head. I'd like to add here that if you are writing from multiple points of view in the third person, you should also get into the heads of those characters to a certain extent too. Thanks for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe below for more content and my next reviews and book writing tip number 2.